in a world that's falling apart.
Two friends roll the dice on movies and talk about the roles each film has had in their lives and more.
It's Cinema Roll!
Hello, I'm your host, Fish, and let's give it up for your other host.
Hi, that's me, Squid. In our last episode, we rolled the dice to choose a movie. Our movie, oh my god. Honey, I blew up the kids. Kid one. There's only one. Our movie this episode is Honey, I Blew Up the Kid, which was released in 1992.
All right, I confess, I did it.
Did what?
Peekaboo!
I blew up the baby.
Anyway, so I streamed this movie on Disney Plus. How did you watch?
I also streamed this movie on Disney Plus every single time.
How many times did you watch it?
So, me directly, I think you can qualify as 2 times. But how many times did it play in my house between viewing one and I'm 32 cubed? I don't know.
The limit does not exist.
I only watched it 3 times. But I guess 2 of those times were like while I was doing laundry. So I guess I kind of watched it probably a total of 2 times. Had you seen it prior to this?
I said no. There is certainly a chance that I watched it. It would make sense that I had, but I did not actually remember having seen this movie. And even going into it the first time, none of it really seemed familiar. So I called this one a no. How about you?
I'm pretty sure I had seen it before. It was definitely familiar to me. I had marked it as a yes, but I hadn't had it marked as like liked or hated or wish listed. I had rolled to pay attention to technology and science in this, and you had to pay attention to what again?
I was the special/practical effects.
Oh, right. This was an excellent movie for that.
It was. I mean, this was a great era for that because things had not gotten to everything is CGI. You couldn't do incredible, amazing things with it. And so practical effects were still a big part of things, but also you were starting to get some of that fun early 90s CGI in there. So it's a really good era, I think, for enjoying the mix of both.
Okay, so do you want to start with your notes on special effects, or do you want me to start with my 4 pages of the notes on science and technology?
I can kick off. One of the things that I found somewhat limiting in this discussion was that the majority of these effects were the same trick repeated in various formats. So start there. So much of this was green screen.
Yeah,
which
a
is
lot of the green screen was really good. I think I only noted a couple of times where I was like, oof, that was rough. But it was also a toddler that they were dealing with. So
well, listen, nothing was as hilarious or rough in the practical effects as the obvious doll of Nick when Adam grabs him. And I say doll, I mean like a dummy.
Oh, yeah. When everybody's there.
So he must be the 7 or 8 foot tall version of himself. And he grabs Nick and shakes him.
So
and to touch an obvious dummy. It's the only time something like that happens in the movie where it's so much that it almost kind of takes you out of it, but it's also hilarious in its own right.
I think in that same scene, I was actually paying attention more to Adam than Nick. Because I thought that I caught man hands, like it was a man in a costume instead of a toddler grabbing a dummy. But it could have been both. But yeah, there was definitely one part where I was like, something was off there. So
you're dead on, though. My favorite of the parts of this whole thing was that when Adam had gone through his first real growth spurt, not the one where he's just stuck in the car seat, but when he had actually grown after the microwave, had figured that, and he was
post Richard Simmons view.
That Richard Simmons.
Oh, okay.
That was a stunt performer wearing a 40-pound Adam suit with an electronic head. It's amazing. And he had to do a whole bunch of practicing how to walk and move like a toddler. It's the Uncle Janos part of
yeah.
that Adam is a stunt performer, and actually there were a whole bunch of other things going on where it was overheating in there, and you just wouldn't. I don't think you'd see that today. I don't think they would do it. But this was fun.
Yeah, I said very impressed by the seamlessness of Adam running around and interacting with the family, picking up Wayne and Nick, dragging Nick across the floor. They didn't lose the aspect ratio at all, and it was damn impressive. Like, it still looked like a toddler.
They did use scale models, as I'm sure you guess, of a lot of things, the raisin, the crayon, and everything in the pocket. But then also Vegas had scale models, and they had 2 scaled down houses that they used. But that helped a lot with the realism. Again, there's kind of that golden era where people put kind of heart and soul into making models like this and getting to do that. I couldn't find anything concrete on the warehouse scene, because if you look at when they're first entering the warehouse to go get Wayne's shrinking laser, it looks like it goes on forever, which would be an easy thing to do with green screen and mirrors, except there's like a little truck that drives by in the back, and they still could have used those, but I couldn't find anything about what they did with that, because it was just a thing that they didn't have to do. They didn't have to have a little truck drive by, but it did. And so I don't know if they used mirrors or green screen or some combination of that for it, but thoroughly enjoyed.
I actually caught something in the warehouse myself. There was a very interesting Easter egg in the warehouse.
Actually, there's 2 of them.
There were 2. The one that I caught was the box behind Diane that said Ark of the Covenant, top secret, Army Intel 9906753, do not open. And it made me chuckle, but then I was like, okay, hold on. And I rewound it and paused it. And then I was like, okay, that has to be something. And it's actually an Indiana Jones reference, which I absolutely loved. Like, I got a good hearty laugh out of that. I had no idea, and I love it so much. What was the other one?
When Wayne is way up in the stacks and he has found it, he says,
Honey, it's up here. See if you can find a forklift.
If you look next to him, he had opened some other crates, and in the crate right next to him is a dusty, almost kind of hay-covered red sled that says Rosebud. For anyone that doesn't know, that's Citizen Kane reference. So
yeah, no, I missed that.
Yeah, so the 2 in the warehouse, and both of them thoroughly enjoyable from a movie nerd perspective.
Yeah, I was absolutely delighted to find this tiny little obvious but not Easter egg to Indiana Jones. Any other special effects or practical effects notes?
So that was the majority of the practical effects stuff. It's fun watching them in the tiny car at the very end when you've got giant Wayne with the little glass and, looking down at them. All those kind of forced perspective, again, green screen things. Those are all really fun, but that's the main trick. Hey, here's a thing that's way larger than everything else around it, or smaller than things around it, because in that case they had been shrunk. So there's just a little bit here then about the CGI that they used for the lasers and the electricity, but it looked pretty good. Kind of had like a Ghostbusters-y, feel to a lot of that stuff. The one part that couldn't quite get over was the crystal after they shoot it with the laser and it's morphing, and it kind of goes whoa, 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 and then explodes into blue goo for some reason, despite being a clear crystal. Don't totally know why that was, but yeah, it was for the most part really enjoyable, good, kind of classic early 90s CGI, and then every once in a while just showing the limitations of the stuff back then. They're like, we can make a crystal go all wobbly and then explode. It won't look super realistic, but it's also 1992.
Right. And I wonder how much of that was like camp by design. They're like, okay, this is a kid's movie. We don't have to take it too seriously. Because really it was a kid's movie and was PG, right?
Yeah.
So, it was a target audience, kids and families. So there was probably a little bit of leeway with some of the special effects where they were like, okay, this doesn't have to be perfect. It's for kids. It can be a little like out there and campy. It is already out there and campy, just the subject matter in general. So I did find myself wondering how much of that was just kind of like, yeah, this can be a little silly.
No question. But that was the bulk of what I had. So if you want to go into your part from what you rolled, do it.
Okay, so I looked at the technology and science part of this movie as everything that Wayne Szalinski made. I counted that as technology. And it also, of course, included cars and technology. The science kind of went a little bit over my head. But anyway, so I'm just going to kind of go through my notes. We'll start there.
I don't really go into the science too much.
Yeah, there were a
just
few
a couple
parts.
little references, but for the most part, other than a couple conversations that you could glaze over, yeah, thankfully they didn't really bother to try and make this too science heavy.
Yeah, again, kids movie. Thankful for that. Okay, so my first thing was that when Wayne fixed the playpen, he had this like yellow rope netting that was like clearly large enough for a toddler to crawl through, like a regular sized toddler, not a blown up toddler. And I just wrote, come on, Wayne. It's a pretty sweet setup though, probably a bit dangerous for 2-year-olds, but again, it was also 1992. So Wayne's kind of constant like imposter syndrome thing that he had going on in this movie kind of broke my heart a little bit, because pretty much everything in this movie was like way ahead of its time, if not ridiculously clunky and kind of overbuilt. The solar power car, for example, like totally ahead of its time. Although I did kind of have issue with when he was like, sorry, I'm late. I ran into a cloud and the car stopped working, because solar usually charges a battery and that battery then powers the thing. It can be used immediately. I did do a little bit of research in this because I don't fully know. I feel like Wayne Szalinski would build a car that solar powers a battery, and then later you do find out that there is a battery in the car. So why have like 1,000 solar panels on your van, or your spaceship as the kids call it later in the movie, to have it like non-functional? So yeah, that kind of bugged me a little bit. Also, there was like a jet power down sound, and then I got a little deep into things here. There's a sticker on the front quarter panel of the van that says caution, hydrogen removal system. And I was like, okay, so maybe it's not a standard combustion engine. And I tried to do a little research on this. And from what I could tell, it's not really a thing for vehicles, but there's hydrogen sulfide removal systems that are more for industrial settings where they need to remove harmful elements from gas, specifically noting natural gas and biofuel. So, and then I was like, well, maybe the Szalinski spaceship is powered by biofuel, which seems to be on brand for Wayne Szalinski, but the van was a little like out there for me. Again, maybe it's just the camp of it. But yeah, I did say at one point that I would totally watch Wayne's YouTube channel where he details all of his inventions. I always loved them in this movie and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Like the toaster where it like rotates the piece of toast through this tunnel that's evenly toasting it. Like beautiful. It's just perfect. I also noted that Kirby would love that treat dispenser, but that she would end up looking like an ottoman. I noted Nick's phone is like this clear handheld phone. I had the exact same one.
I was going to ask, do you remember that trend? Because I had phones like that, radios like that. I think I had a Game Boy like that.
Mm-hmm, there was a Game Boy. It was like
trend of all these see-through, it was like, I want to watch the circuits.
Mm-hmm, it was pre the like candy color transparent of the early 2000s, and it was just great. But I literally had the exact same phone, and my hairstylist has like the neon innards version of that phone in her salon because she's got like a 80s 90s themed salon. It's fantastic. And speaking of phones, I said Wayne's hands-free phone helmet thing was like way ahead of its time. It was basically a big clunky Bluetooth headset, and I loved that. In the lab, I said, I get why Wayne is so focused, but why isn't Nick watching Adam? Like, I get that Nick is a nerdy kid, but you, at this point, pretty much have one job, dude, and it's to watch your toddler brother. And then, I don't know if you caught it. It sounded like they sampled the Super Mario's big mushroom sound when the laser went off.
Did not catch that. So now I'm disappointed in myself if that is true.
And then when the data goes missing, they make a huge deal of the fact that it was 38 gigs of data.
Gigabytes. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, that feels like not that much. and I wrote down 2 comparisons. All of the files that I have so far for Cinema Roll, including like all of our logo stuff, all of the photos, all of the downloaded sounds for movie clips and downloaded music, including some that I downloaded and didn't use, and our recorded podcast episodes. That's 3.13 gigs of data. And then my personal hard drive, which is a 1 terabyte hard drive, currently has 269.42 gigs of data on it.
Sure, but keep in
Feels
mind,
like not a lot.
Taking the Wayback Machine to 2001, freshman year of college, my next door neighbor, Mike, was super stoked about having his desktop computer with a 1 gigabyte hard drive. So that was almost 10 years after this movie.
Yeah.
So at that point, 38 gigs was a lot because we were all still walking around with little 3.5-inch floppies that were like, what, a megabyte and a half or something, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So we
I have
hadn't
a
even
couple
gotten
floating around.
to
I could
the
look.
700 megabyte CDs or anything like that we were using.
Yeah. I mean, I remember getting a 64 meg thumb drive and feeling like freaking royalty my sophomore year of college.
MP3 player, but yeah, same deal. The 128 megabyte MP3 players that you can almost get a full CD onto.
Right.
But how cool that was anyway. I will say, just because you mentioned it, I know they're supposed to paint Nick as being really nerdy. I actually felt like he was pretty chill for everything that's happened to him. And I was like, he's been through a lot for one.
Very well adjusted.
Significantly younger brother. So
yeah, I clocked that too, but I was like, not going to judge.
He's stressful in and of itself. But also just, he was pretty normal. I mean, gagging Mandy was a really weird thing to do. Not okay.
I talk about that
as a first response. But
hey, but at least
he
caught her. Wayne just let his wife fall to the ground.
This is true. Other than that, though, I feel like he's not that nerdy of a kid.
No.
They could have really gone way harder on making him a super nerd.
I think part of the reason that he reads so nerdy is because the 2 actors have copied each other's mannerisms so well. And I know that they're the same 2 actors from the original movie, but at one point, like the 2 of them walk off screen. Wayne goes and then Nick goes, and they have the same walk and the same posture, and they put the same glasses on them, and they both kind of have the same like mussed up hair. They just did a really good job pulling this like apple doesn't fall far from the tree, and I think that's what helps you assume that Nick is this huge nerd, because Wayne is portrayed as this huge nerd.
I don't know what you're talking about. Wayne was really cool.
I was president of the astronomy club 2 years in a row. We were happening guys.
I mean, the question there was, were you popular? And that was his response. So I don't know that answers the question.
Yeah. Anyway, there's no way there's metal inside of Big Bunny.
Dr. Hendrickson, we can make out hair, bone, and metal, all sort of intertwined.
Like, just looking at it, if you looked at the actual stuffed animal, there was no way that there were metal wires in the ears or in the limbs. Like, it was just way too floppy. And that kind of bothered me when they were like getting the skeletal reference.
Okay, I'm bringing up the structural overlay
Of the distorted image with 3 eyes. There's just no way that there was metal inside of that. This isn't really science and technology related, but I said, why are 80s and 90s bosses always like total greaseball sleaze bags? They all had the same look.
Literally on the grease.
Yeah, like that greased back, slick back hair that stays perfect the entire movie, even after he takes off his helicopter helmet. So go figure that douchey boss taps like 3 to 4 keys and the image enhances perfectly right away.
This is our latest image, superimposing structural and keratin analysis.
And as you can see, there appears to...
Let's move over. It's a baby and a stuffed bunny.
Also, that's not how image enhancement works at all, but movies never get that right, so whatever. Why does the TV only make Adam bigger when he jumps around? Is it because he's closer to it? Because he wasn't that close to the microwave, but maybe the energy is different. And they did kind of go into that microwave energy thing, which electromagnetic flux. And it confirmed that it was a real thing. I don't know that it really works the way they say it does, but I didn't really write down that whole conversation because, again, the science went over my head and I totally kind of glazed over through it.
To our knowledge, we've never seen 50-foot babies, so...
Yeah. They've also never been zapped, to our knowledge, with a growth ray diffused by at the bottom of a Coke bottle. I did super love Wayne's crackpot tinker speech.
Wait a second. You think I'm just some guy from Fresno who tinkered with crackpot ideas in his attic? Well, let me tell you something. This whole country is built on the shoulders of people who tinkered with crackpot ideas in attics and basements and backyards. Alexander Graham Bell working in a 2-room flat.
Young man, don't presume to stand there and lecture me about great minds and great inventors. Whatever I've been over the years, I've never been a fool or been involved with anyone else who is. I certainly don't intend to start now.
There's a much more uplifting way to frame things, especially coming out of analyzing V for Vendetta. I also noticed that on my third watch, I didn't notice it on my first two, but I wasn't fully watching and paying attention. But when they say,
is he growing or are we shrinking?
It's amazing. He's doubled in size in just a few minutes.
When he gets to the Vegas Strip, but they actually like kind of show it from Mandy and Nick's point of view, which I thought was really interesting. But there was also no more lightning effect. They just kind of like did away with that at a certain point. I just kind of assumed it was like an oversight from special effects.
Maybe they hit their budget.
Yeah, maybe. All I said regarding the tranquilizer cannon was a tranquilizer cannon.
Sounds like overkill.
Yeah, a little bit. This isn't really science, but I guess it kind of is. I guess it's a little bit more technology. When they were calling out the names of the hotels from the street with a bullhorn for them to turn out the lights.
Everyone stand by now. Attention all casinos. Wait for my signals to turn off your lights. Marshal Brooks, bring on the truck.
I thought it was super weird. There was no way the people in the hotels who were able to just like flip the light switch heard that, especially down the road with everybody screaming and running into the street like they were told not to do.
I thought and I could be wrong about this, but maybe they went down and gave everybody walkie-talkies.
Maybe, and that's what I said.
Put them all on the same channel to be like, all right, and now you.
Yeah.
You.
Or maybe they just stationed police like inside those hotels with the person in charge of flipping the lights. But sure. I just thought it was kind of weird. And then I said, do we think that Nick's yelling at Adam from the pocket just sounds like a mosquito buzzing around? Because I feel like it would.
And on the flip side of that, they only really address it, I think, one time. But every time he made any kind of noise, it would have been so loud.
I know.
Like, he's huge. And I know this is getting a little into the weeds. It seems that the concept was that he actually maintained the same, or mass when he grew to be whatever height he was. So he was gaining height, but he didn't weigh 6,000 pounds at 50 feet or something like that. He weighed the same as he would have, which adds in a whole other series of questions that I could have. I don't really need to go into, but even still, I feel like should be a lot louder just being that large. And they do it one time, but you would think every time he would be.
Well, they do like some booming when he's walking, and when he was in the house and the neighbors were there, he was like shaking the house and making all these big booming sounds.
Not too hard, you're denting the floor.
But
also, people stand like 3 feet from his feet, and toddlers are not notoriously stable. I don't understand that part of it, because they do fall over. They aren't super stable. If, especially when somebody's shooting tranquilizer cannons at him and he takes one step to the side and wipes out all of Channel 6 News.
Right, because Channel 6 News was like, all right, let's move it closer, and went to like 2 steps from a toddler's size 562 shoe. I did note how impressive it was that the wires in the Hard Rock Cafe guitar were as long as they were and that they didn't break, but it was that kind of was like, that wouldn't have happened.
Good car.
Buckle up.
Okay, so the yellow car, before I did a huge deep dive into it, I tagged it as a Lotus almost right away. You can kind of see the hood emblem in a couple of shots, and I recognized it because my husband would be disappointed if I didn't. But it is actually a Lotus Elan. I searched for it, actually paused the movie and searched, and fell into a very deep hole. At the time, it cost just under $40,000. It had 162 horsepower, a 4-cylinder turbo engine, and it was front-wheel drive. It weighed approximately 2,390 pounds. It was actually able to find an article talking about finding one of the vehicles used in filming that had at one point been for sale, and it confirmed confirmed that it was a 1991 Lotus Elan M100 in the color Norfolk Mustard with a 5-speed manual transmission. So I did appreciate that Nick was fumbling with the manual transmission of the car and being like,
I'm used to an automatic.
And it was actually a manual transmission vehicle that they used because they don't always do that. In today's money, that car would be around $95,000 to $97,000, which is pretty high considering the engine and the horsepower and the weight of it. There are certainly comparable vehicles on the market today in terms of speed for less, but not Lotus. And Lotus currently doesn't offer a convertible. Did note that car technology has come a long way since 91 in terms of materials, so like lowering weights and engine technology. But of course, as comparison, my 2015 Mini Cooper S hardtop 2-door has a 4-cylinder turbo, is front-wheel drive stock, which mine is not. It puts down 187 horsepower and weighs 2,760 pounds. MSRP on my car originally was $24,950. I will also note that apparently for the car nerds who may or may not be listening, the Lotus Elan was like a huge bomb for Lotus. People like hated it immediately, but I guess the people who drove it absolutely loved it, but it was just a total bust for Lotus.
You mean it didn't extremely rise in popularity after this movie? That's so
no, shockingly, I know. And I didn't catch how much, if that one that had been for sale sold, but I did save the article link and all the links for all of my science and tech research. So I'll put those in any notes that we have for the episode.
So the important question I have for that car is, did it have airbag?
I don't know. I mean, so my first car was a 1990 Mercury Sable, and that did have a driver's side airbag. I don't remember if it had a passenger side airbag. If I had to guess, I would say no, because it was a sports car. Editor's note, the Lotus Elan M100 did in fact have a driver's side airbag on the US spec vehicle.
That was the question I had about the car. Other than how did they not throw up or pass out?
Oh my God, I know. Yeah.
But that's not as much about the car as it is their constitution and Adam.
Yes.
Doubling back to the shaving helmet, at one point, when he's walking in with it, and he stops Diane, and he's like,
Honey, can you help me adjust this servo regulator?
Do you think he knows how to do that because she's had to adjust so many crazy things he's made? Because she, without missing a beat, just, yeah, okay, and it takes her a second and a half. She's done. And I was like, that's clearly the look of the, yeah, all right, I can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's akin to, yeah, 100%, because I've been that wife. in a different way, but I recognize that whole scenario 100%. I mean, the kid has learned how to hold the flashlight steady at that point. Which is the case, I think, with Nick too, to some degree, right? Like he's spent so much time with his dad in the attic or the garage tinkering that he knows that breaking the Coke bottle and using it to diffuse the laser is going to work. What other did you catch on to any technology or science stuff that I missed?
Yeah, so kind of do a little rapid fire run through of some of the other notes that I had here on that. Do you think that the garbage can knows when to pass by, or that they just kind of hold on to the garbage until it passes by and then dump it? Because every time that they showed that garbage can at almost eye level fly past them, somebody had something in hand and dropped it in. And I was like, how does it know when to pass by? I didn't see it, just looked like a garbage can.
Unless there's like a button or a foot pedal or something that we didn't see.
Sure could have been.
Or it could just be on a circuit and they just know the circuit, the timing.
Then in that case, you know Wayne has walked into that garbage can 185 times.
Oh, I'm sure they all have. Oh, absolutely. 100%. Because I walk into things in my house all the time that don't move.
My biggest question from a science or a technology perspective, what is Wayne's battery budget? Every single one of his pieces of technology has, like, the helmets, everything has several containers of AA, AAA, whatever batteries. Does he have a sponsorship deal with Duracell? Like, what?
Maybe that's what the solar panels in the van are actually charging.
all of his batteries. So it's rechargeable batteries, again, ahead of his time. And he's just charging them all. Yeah, it could be. But that's so many
I mean,
batteries.
it wouldn't surprise me if he had solar panels on the house. Although I think we see the house from.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing solar panels on it.
Yeah, which again would have been on brand for Wayne Szalinski and totally ahead of its time. I think.
Sure. It's just kind of a funny note to me. All those what looked like speakers in the van, they never listened to any music.
No,
and that led me to question. I'm curious what kind of music. I feel like
Simon and Garfunkel. He strikes me as a Simon and Garfunkel.
Do you think so? I don't know. I'm almost kind of
Absolutely.
like a 80s art pop, like
maybe he's a big synth fan.
Yeah, right.
Could be.
Feels on brand. I mean, it's just the technology of it. I don't know.
Maybe he was like the first inventor of the mixtape. I could see him like figuring out a way to like slice records up to like a mixed record. Oh, in the van, relating to what you paid attention to with the special effects and stuff, there were a couple of scenes in the van where Adam was like taking pieces off the van and then like dropping them or throwing them. And in one case, he like drops one down and Nick picks it up and he throws a little football at Wayne, and just it was so beautifully done and so seamless. It was really impressive.
Those were a couple of really cool moments that showed just how much effort they put into making that look good.
Yeah, because they could have just not done that at all and it still would have been like kind of a funny scene, but adding those practical effects into those car scenes really just added humor to the whole situation.
For sure. In the award for not every idea is a good idea, the way that butter gets squirted onto the toast grossed me out so bad. I don't think I could eat that. And then immediately after, I had this thought that Amy, the older sister, she doesn't bring friends over.
Oh, no, absolutely not. Especially not after what happened in the first movie.
No, but even so, just can you imagine bringing a friend over? Mm-hmm. And again, having to explain, there's a trash can on a circuit running around the kitchen. And yes, my dad is walking around with a headset that shaves him and just all the other absolutely bananas technology that they had there.
I mean, I did appreciate that Nick at least had a regular phone in his room. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure Amy did too. But yeah, I 100% the reason Amy wanted to like get away and go to college without her parents there, that was 100% because she's totally embarrassed of her dad.
But I feel like before we leave the technology conversation, we do need to mention the mailbox.
Yes.
I have a non-technology question about it, which is, and it kind of gets answered in the movie. The first thought I had when I saw it was, you're going to tell me his HOA doesn't have a problem with this mailbox?
As someone who lives in an HOA, they absolutely do.
Yeah, definitely. And it does kind of get answered because later on, one of the two nosy neighbors takes a Polaroid.
Wait till the Vista Del Mar Standards Committee sees this.
So they do clearly have a problem with the mailbox.
Yeah, but also at first, kind of the opening scene is the mailman delivering the mail to that mailbox, and the two women, the unnamed woman and Patty, walking by and like giving it these looks. And I was like, why are they looking at this mailbox so weirdly? Like, are they not aware of the fact that it's Wayne Szalinski's house? And I actually said, did they move since the first movie? And then it turns out they had moved, presumably to be closer to the lab, because the lab bought his technology or whatever. But yeah, originally I was like, why? Like, the mailman's giving it weird looks. The mailman, by the way, looked very familiar to me, but I could not find who the actor was. So if anybody knows.
I did not recognize him. I'm sure we could look it up.
I looked everywhere. I could not find it.
Nothing? All right. I do feel like this is a good spot to go ahead and go with the rest of those
little things have a way of becoming very big things, Patty.
References, because there are a number of them that are super enjoyable in this movie. You start with Mr. Rogers on the TV talking about being big and growing.
Your hands are getting bigger now. Your arms and legs are longer now. You even sense your insides grow when Mom and Dad...
Which was great and also made me super nostalgic.
The song was actually called You're Growing, and it was from an episode that originally aired in 1969, and I thought it was a lovely foreshadowing.
And then you've got media references with growing. You've got Adam watching Mickey and the Beanstalk, which obviously is a giant.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Yep, it's right before the Sweatin' to the Oldies.
Which they sing Locomotion in, where it says because it's easier than learning your ABCs.
They do.
And I thought that was a nod to him wanting to hear the ABC song from Wayne earlier. And then Wayne gave pushback and wanted to sing Twinkle Twinkle. And I was like, Wayne, they're the same damn song.
I think that's there's nobody bigger than Wayne Newton in this town.
What's happening here? Is Wayne Newton in town?
No, they don't do this for Wayne Newton. It must be somebody bigger.
Listen, babe, there's nobody bigger than Wayne Newton in this town. Of course, I could be wrong.
That was one of my favorite parts in this whole movie. It was so perfectly Las Vegas and so perfectly dated. It was like chef's kiss perfection. I loved it.
You had a news reporter say that this is the biggest story of the year. That was pretty great. And then, hands down, my favorite, I'm not going to make it through this without laughing, that wins the award for the most 90s quote is the guy that says,
Whoa. Look at that mother.
Yeah, I loved it.
When Diane wrote. It's
yeah.
Just a great quote all on its own, but is absolutely so 90s. The look of the guy was so 90s. It's fantastic.
Yeah, he was like the epitome of 90s grunge. I also caught that the sign on the Sam Boyd's casino read $132,102 and growing, which made me laugh. And then it changes to half-pound ham steak, followed by 2 eggs and potatoes, toast. And then in the next shot, you see, find a shelter now, evacuate the streets. It appears to be the casino across the street. And I said, Mr. Boyd has his priorities. I also flagged the Caution Children banner on the front of the ice cream truck, which I'm pretty sure is standard on an ice cream truck, but it still made me laugh. And then, did you catch when Nick and Mandy get in the car, the song that came on?
I don't think I did.
It was the Bee Gees, Staying Alive.
I'm trying. Hurry, do something. I'm used to an automatic.
So do I. Nice.
Which I thought was very appropriate and quite funny given their dire situation and the balancing of the car that followed. But it made me chuckle. I think we need to roll our dice. Okay, so do you want to roll first? Do you want me to roll?
You should go first.
Okay. I rolled a 1.
Oh, I'm like the Crypt Keeper!
Did it age well? Yeah, I actually, for the most part, thought it aged pretty well. The only thing that kind of bugged me was the kind of stereotypical, incapable of doing anything around the house husband that they bought into. And later where Diane says,
there's one thing every little kid knows. Daddies mean fun. Mommies mean business.
It perpetuated that stereotype and it kind of gave me the ick. But for a 34-year-old movie that primarily relied on practical effects and green screen, I thought it aged remarkably well. There wasn't a whole lot of like family drama bullshit or like teenage angsty BS. And I thought that kind of helped. Obviously, the fashion in the movie didn't age very well. But again, it's 34 years old. But yeah, the only thing that really bugged me was this whole notion that like Wayne can't cook, especially when Diane leaves him food that's basically made. I was like, come on, you're telling me that like master genius inventor Wayne Zielinski cannot cook? Just kind of perpetuating that stereotype of like dads are helpless and hopeless and moms do all the work. But again, for a 34-year-old movie, I thought it aged pretty well.
I will say it's not often that as a guy I get to be offended in these scenarios because I'm not usually the one on that side of the equation. And, you know, I did feel like not just because he's a genius, but also it's a pre-made meal that he needed to put in an oven. I know lots of kids that could do that.
Yeah.
And the idea that it's always just that stereotypical, oh, look at how incredibly black it is. You know how long it would have to sit in an oven at whatever heat? You would have fire in the oven, which I know they do bring out the fire extinguisher or whatever. But yeah, that notion is a fairly ridiculous one, but it's a pretty small note in something that could have been a lot worse as far as things not aging well. And again, I clocked that same
Daddies mean fun. Mommies mean business.
Quote as being something that I rolled my eyes at a lot and did not age well. And the only other thing that really kind of didn't age well in here is just the same thing that always does, which is the media references would go over a lot of people's heads when they watch it today, but it doesn't really matter because you kind of, if you are a kid watching this today, I think you just ignore it and go, oh, right, I understand. That's a cheesy song. That's a cartoon. That's a weird dude working out. And those things you just kind of ignore. But if you are of an age to enjoy them, then they're still really fun. Again, the feeling I got watching Mr. Rogers was something. There was definitely something there I was like, oh, I miss you.
Yeah.
So it is the kind of thing where it doesn't age well, but it doesn't matter that it doesn't age well. And
yeah, for a 34-year-old movie.
Even Mandy's friends outside the water park had opportunities to have a bunch of really useless statements.
Yeah, and the only thing was like, oh, your dad's here to pick you up in his spaceship.
Right. Hey, Nick, your dad's here in his spaceship.
Which was hilarious.
That mean about it. I was like,
yeah.
That wouldn't even really bug a kid.
He got in there and wasn't like a total douchebag to his dad about being like, oh, Dad, why do you have to pick me up in this? Can't you have a normal car?
Thanks a lot, Dad.
For what?
Nothing.
Like, I feel like would have been done in any other movie from that time or even now.
Yeah, and even 10 years later, I think you really had that whole showing that there's a real strain in their relationship. They didn't go down that.
Yeah, I actually thought they had a great relationship.
All right, that's my roll. 5.
Why am I drippings with goo?
What gave us the ick from this movie? I mean,
kind of just talks about it.
Of that, it's really not much, unless you want to talk about the butter from the toast machine again. Or how
there was one thing.
A giant old raisin inside a kid's coffee.
Shockingly not covered with enough dust, I thought.
Right, but outside of that, I don't know that I really clocked a lot that would. So almost kind of a disappointing question.
I think the only thing was Mandy saying,
there's no way I'm changing those diapers.
Also, it's a really good thing that Adam's diaper fit as well as it did when Wayne slid down the inside of the overalls, because that could have gone very badly for him.
So that same thought did cross my mind just as you were about to say it. And I was like, because I did actually add 2 relevant notes to that. One is that we did not have a diaper change in over 12 hours, which that's super gross. But also, the only thing I know of for sure that he ate that day was an entire box of ice cream sandwiches.
Which got all over his face, which gave me the ick, actually.
So an entire box of ice cream sandwiches and then no diaper changes for over 12 hours is a recipe for disaster.
Yeah. And then they gave him an ice cream bar immediately after he was shrunk back down, too. Yeah, because he didn't end up eating whatever it was that Wayne was microwaving for him instead of duck that he requested from the restaurant.
You want to go to a restaurant? But I just made this stuff. It's going to be good.
I'll go to eating restaurant.
Well, I'll be the waiter, okay? And let me take your order. What would you like?
You want to take duck?
Duck. The duck is not very good tonight. Can I recommend the special? Okay, fine. We have soup du jour. We have hamburger. We have French fries today. Would you like them? All right. I'll be right back.
That was a cute scene.
Yeah, it really was. Actually, I know this isn't part of our technical answer to this question. We both kind of already answered it, but it was shortly after this movie, I think, that Rick Moranis stopped acting. And I had heard why he stopped acting, but I confirmed it, and I'll link to a recent story about it in the show notes. But the breakfast scene in the very beginning of the movie where he says,
"So what's for breakfast? Anything good?"
And then he takes a mouthful of whatever Adam feeds him.
Fantastic.
It felt like it was improvised and felt like this really sweet kind of natural moment between 2 human beings and not 2 actors playing characters in a movie. And it sort of cemented that Rick Moranis was every bit the great dad that I always thought him to be, since I found out why he left acting, which was to take care of his kids after his wife passed away. And she actually died in 1991. So yeah, she passed away, I believe, from cancer. And he quit acting. And his interactions with the kids in these movies, but this movie in particular, really stood out to me. Knowing that. An anti-ick, I suppose.
do love the repeated "I'll fix it" from Adam.
I'll fix it!
Is probably my favorite because, first of all, it's just so cute. But second, you know that that's because he heard Wayne say it so many times.
Absolutely.
As he already does. Oh, I fixed it, or I'll fix it. Or,
Said I can fix it.
So the fact that Adam's like,
I'll fix it.
super cute
Yeah.
for both reasons. One, just because it's a cute kid saying a cute thing. And then also because he got that from his dad.
Yeah. Okay. Rolling. 17.
Are you guys full scuba?
All right, what weird hobby would the main characters have? I think we kind of already know Wayne's weird hobby, but maybe he has another weird hobby that's not building random things. Like maybe when he doesn't want to tinker. Maybe Wayne is actually in a synth band, or was at one point in a synth band, and that's his weird hobby.
Built
is
his
he
own keyboard.
Plays the synthesizer.
Right,
in a
he built
band.
himself.
Yes, absolutely. That's it. 100%.
Yeah.
What about Diane?
But
Do you think Diane has a weird hobby?
Whatever it is, I'm sure it's out of the house. Quiet.
She plays mahjong.
Right? Is anything quiet? She actually opened up a weird yoga place that involves that. I almost feel like it is supposed to be weird that Nick plays guitar because it is a stereotypically cool thing.
And it's not just guitar, it's electric
we don't
guitar.
Really see him playing because he's got music playing and he's just kind of got the guitar. But I assume that he knows how to play. All right. We got a 4.
Santa here? I know him.
Where else do we know the key actors from? Okay, so if we're going to go Rick Moranis, I mean, my other big two are Ghostbusters and Little Shop of Horrors, which I absolutely love. So, yeah, if we're going to talk about Rick Moranis, and then this is where we could do the Carrie Russell moment.
Absolutely. I was delighted to see her in this movie.
Right? Her first role.
We watched The Diplomat, and I was like, wait a minute, is that Carrie Russell? And I quickly IMDb'd it and was like, oh, it is, with fantastic hair in this movie, mind you.
Did you watch Felicity? Were you a Felicity
I did
fan?
not.
That won't really be a part of this conversation because neither did I. So yeah, I didn't clock anybody else really.
Yeah, me neither. Except for the mailman, who I still have no idea who he is. He could just look like somebody. It could just be the hat and the glasses. I don't know, but I could not figure out who he was. Was that your role or mine?
Yeah, that was mine.
Okay. 2.
The pen is blue. The pen is blue. The goddamn pen is blue.
Any favorite lines? Yes, so many. We already touched on one, which is
look at that mother.
I also laughed out loud every time they said it, but the first time they said,
Honey, you don't say the N-word around 2-year-olds.
I legit laughed out loud because the N-word means something very different now. In this movie, it was nap.
So when I get home, he'll take a late nap.
But yeah, it was, and I don't know if that vernacular was a thing in 1992.
It certainly
Did we
was.
call it the N-word?
Well, okay, so that's a good question. I thought you were saying.
I don't know. No, I know that word existed in 1992, but I don't know that we called it the N-word. Perhaps something that didn't age very well about it, but yes,
it did stress me out every time he said the word nap. I was like, no.
It also kind of played into that trope of like dads don't pay attention to their kids and don't know anything about their kids. Like I feel like Wayne would know to not say.
I got an idea. Why don't we all have a nice, long,
Don't say it!
nap? Yourself.
But yeah, that, and then I also really like when they go to the Big and Tall store, when they dress him in the hat with the veil and the plaid coat, and Nick says,
There, he looks like a badly dressed beekeeper.
It was a good one.
oh, and you and I both missed this when we talked about things when they talk about things referencing size and whatnot. But Wayne at one point says,
Do you think this is going to affect him for life? I mean, something like this could ruin a kid.
Maybe it might give him a different perspective. Help him see the big picture.
I legit groaned. I was like, dad jokes at this time? Because it was like right, I think, before.
Stop. My shirt says undefeated dad joke champion.
But yeah, I also thoroughly enjoyed that line.
The only other thing I really had is something that's always been a staple for me. Two things that I always find enjoyable. When the bad guy gets fired. So when Sterling fired Hendrickson, I was always satisfied in that moment when something like that happens. But I was surprised that it happened with 30 minutes left in the movie. Usually that's like a little thing at the end of the movie that they do to just kind of like make you feel good right as they...
Yes.
That's
where I feel like they were like gonna fire him, and they were like, no, let's do that earlier, make him an even badder bad guy, and then have Diane be like,
tranquilizer cartridges,
and then sock him out.
Yeah, it is so satisfying to watch that happen.
Totally.
And I do have to give honorary mention to the helicopter pilot, who was also pretty awesome, because he just kind of stood there like waiting for orders. He was like, I'm not gonna go take a military helicopter up to a kid just because some rich dude tells me to do so.
I actually said that helicopter pilot is a goddamn hero. I also liked when Diane grabs the helicopter and is like, back off, and he's like, yes ma'am.
In a little bit of a kind of the opposite of all this good stuff that happened, I do always enjoy the trope of a bad guy just rubbing his hands together evenly, like, which when Hendrickson and the board member are talking about how Clifford Sterling may have outlived his usefulness, he's kind of doing one of those, which, real quick, sidebar question on that. I had to take a note as to why Hendrickson and the board member were having a fancy dinner and wine on a tiny little desk in an office adjacent to the lab. I decided it was date night and that Hendrickson couldn't get away from work. That he and the board member have a thing going on.
That's canon.
But he just couldn't get away from work. So he said, you know what, honey, bring dinner to the lab.
I did also really like when Nick yelled mommy from the pocket and then glanced at Mandy and was like, mom. I thought it was a perfect awkward teen moment, and it was just great. Okay, it's your turn to roll, right?
Yeah. Number 10.
I've been waiting for this for 20 years.
How would this movie be different if it were made 20 years earlier or later? And I now have to roll a d6 to see if we're going to go earlier or later for this discussion. Yeah, even earlier, odd later. Here we go. And I got a 3. So that's odd later. So 20 years later puts this in 2012, if I can math. And
I can't, so.
I mean, so if we're just talking about the stuff in the movie itself, kind of to your point, a lot of these things have already been invented by that point. So, the ones that would be invented have been invented at that point. So the Bluetooth stuff is already starting to kind of come. It wasn't nearly as ubiquitous, but, a lot of the wireless and solar and all that kind of technology has already been invented. So really, Wayne's gonna have to come up with a lot more interesting things, I guess, to maybe there's like alternate dimensions and portals and things he accidentally
or maybe
opens
it's like
up.
Video with his family, right? They have the intercom system in the house. Maybe it's a video chat into their teenage boy's room, which is actually super weird.
Yeah, definitely not something I would want to do.
No, it would definitely be way more CGI from a technology standpoint.
There would have been very little technical effects probably. But also, I mean, if you just want to get technical, it also would not have had Rick Moranis in it.
No. No, it would have been, I mean, figure the same cast 20 years later, it would have been Nick, right? As the dad.
Yeah.
Which actually I kind of would love to see.
I would too. If they made
it would have
one
been Nick's kid.
Now, or even Adam's kid, at this, I guess.
Yeah, now it could be Adam's kid.
Right, these days. I kind of like that idea.
Okay, that was you, right?
Yep.
Okay. 3.
Hey, look, kids. There's Big Ben and there's Parliament.
How rewatchable is it? Would you just like to answer this?
It is very rewatchable, though I think it's an inverse function depending on your age. The younger you are, I think the more rewatchable this is, as evidenced by just how many times I wish I had actually taken a tally of how many times my kids watched it, or if you could go into
Disney Plus doesn't show you
and see your own metrics.
Your stats.
People might find that a little hard to find out just how many times you watched, the same episode of Boy Meets World or something. All right, let's see what the next roll is. 16.
I know Kung Fu.
Best character from this movie to be on your side in a fight. Okay, so it's definitely, without a question, my top 3. 50-foot Diane. And then probably, I don't know, I'm actually tempted to say regular size Diane, helicopter pilot, and then 50-foot Adam. So I went with 4 because I added the audible of putting Diane in there twice. But yeah, so I think that really, if it's my top 3 though, Diane, helicopter pilot.
Yeah, I 100% agree. 18.
I'm 8 years old. You think I'd be here alone? I don't think so.
What age would be the best age to first experience this movie? I honestly, I think probably like 7, 8, 9, 10, like that. Like the age we were when it came out, 10. It definitely appealed to like the child in me. I think experiencing it as like a teenager, this movie would feel so dumb. And even maybe in my 20s, like if I saw this movie in my 20s, I'd be like, this is the dumbest thing ever. And I'd probably appreciate it a little bit more just from a nostalgic standpoint. But I think like a 6 to 10-year-old range is probably
I think 10's
peak.
probably even a little bit too old to
Maybe.
really enjoy it. But it also depends, again, have you watched, is it a situation where you've watched the first one or not? Are you coming into this one? Because when my kids said they wanted to watch it, I said, okay, but you have to watch the first one first. So we did make them go back. And then it was all on them that they wanted to watch We Shrunk Ourselves. But yeah, I think there's a fair argument that 6 to 8 maybe range is a good one. And then I think, you probably have to wait until you're in your 40s or later to experience it for the first time if you did not watch it or don't remember watching it as a kid. Because it probably doesn't touch on something interesting or nostalgic until you probably hit that middle age. Not that we are middle-aged at all. Obviously.
No, definitely not. I just graduated college last semester.
No, that one was me. No, that one was you.
Yeah, that one was me.
14.
I'm becoming Brundlefly.
What human-animal swap would be best for the main character? All right, so if we're saying the main character is Adam for this case, because I mean, it can't be Wayne, because if he's anything other than human, this
the whole
doesn't
movie
get
doesn't
resolved.
happen.
Like, it probably right.
It's
Never
Adam.
happened
Let's say
in
it's
the first
Adam.
place.
I have the perfect answer for this.
Now, I'll be honest, I can't think past dog because I can't get Quark out of my head.
It's a golden retriever puppy.
Okay, yeah, good.
Or animal from the Muppets.
Oh, well, that would be so you're taking animal literally. What human animal swap would be best? But then instead of
I just feel like a 50-foot
guitar,
animal
he plays the drums.
Right. But then also Wayne is absolutely Kermit because he's so calm and collected throughout this entire movie.
Let's take a minute and do the couple quick notes on Quark because we have not given enough.
Oh yeah.
Notes on that good boy. I don't have a ton of notes. I mean, obviously, we like Quark. We know Quark. Quark's great at getting the mail. But I was super glad that they found Quark. That's my biggest note about Quark. That he ran away.
Yeah, because he runs away at one point.
And then there's the moment where the marshals, it's just one line, but the marshals are like, BTW, we found Quark. And I was like, thank you for saying that, because now I don't have to worry about what happened to him.
I did appreciate that when they're like,
my original machine is in the lab security warehouse.
Yes.
Quark's like, yeah, let's go. He like barks. He's got his paws up on the table and he's like all in. Because of course he is, because he's a Jack Russell Terrier.
I'm going to feel dumb for not remembering this, but what's the dog from Back to the Future?
Oh my God.
Einstein. I feel like he would have gotten along with Quark. Einstein, yeah, thank you. I feel like he and Quark would have gotten along.
Scruffy dog friends, dogs. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, dogs of scientists. It's like a support group for dogs of scientists.
I also feel like Milo from The Mask would have been part of that group.
Sure. Dogs that have had to watch their owners do a bunch of really crazy things. And then they form a support group.
Dogs that have seen some shit.
Right. I get behind that. Somebody needs to make that cartoon.
Okay, should we roll one more?
Yeah, sure.
12.
Laurels for spring. Groundbreaking.
What's a good tagline? I actually
go the 90s quote.
Wow, look at that mother. No, I actually thought even though I had this line as a point of contention for me because of the stereotype that it perpetuates, I actually thought daddies mean fun, mommies mean business would have been a good tagline for this movie. Or there's nobody bigger than Wayne Newton.
Yeah, the actual answer is little things have ways of becoming big things.
Oh yeah,
I think that's
true.
The real answer.
That's true. Or just a large creature heading towards the strip. Can you not tell it's a baby? Can you not tell it's a toddler, man? Anyway.
Right, just it's a creature. All right, and then for my last one, 13.
I think they're undisputed masterpieces. Hip to be square.
What song would make the best soundtrack edition? I do have to think for a second on this, but I do want to take a second to shout out that the song being played at the Hard Rock Cafe, if you didn't look this up, is Kids Wanna Rock by Bryan Adams.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
It's pretty great.
Another good like musical Easter egg there.
Yeah, just a fun little thing that they put in there. But I'm not coming up with anything.
Yeah, I can't really think of anything either, especially from that era. Like I wasn't really big into popular music in 1992, 1991.
Oh, okay. But wait, it doesn't have to be from that time.
No, it could be older. I mean, they used the Bee Gees.
Newer.
Newer?
Yeah, because whatever.
Okay, like adding it in.
Yeah, sure. Well, I know we're saying best soundtrack edition, but I'm not coming up with anything at that time frame. So I'm going to go with Larger Than Life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's Backstreet Boys, right?
Yeah, excellent.
So that's Wayne Zielinski goes into the future, grabs that, and puts it on the soundtrack.
Perfect. Okay.
Did you have any other random notes or other things you wanted to bring up?
One of the things that I called out was the fact that they just give Wayne a motorcycle helmet. Wayne, a father of 3 and super genius inventor dude, gets to get his ass hauled up into a 50-foot rabbit dangling from a helicopter. Mm-hmm. Like, they didn't have time to find a harness to put him in. They had time to find Big Bunny and airlift it over. But then I did notice that the guy in the helicopter was hanging out the side without a harness. So safety was obviously nobody's concern here. But I thought it was a little ridiculous that he was just like perched on this bunny holding the strap that the rabbit was tied
90s
to.
were a wild time.
But I was like, really? A father of 3? Like Diane was okay with this? Like, that was really my only other note, other than the fact that at one point Nick looks like Twinkle Twinkle's going to put him to sleep too. And I'm guessing that Wayne sung it to him.
Oh, yeah, probably.
But I did note that Nick is a really good kid, aside from tying up Mandy.
Yeah,
and I
weird.
did also say, I love that Nick gets the pretty popular girl in the end without having to change who he is, and that she ultimately like appreciates that his dad and him are a little eccentric and nerdy. I just thought it was a really sweet, like, he didn't have to change who he was and go through this whole like transformation to a cool kid, and he still got to be like the quirky, like, kind of, like I said earlier, like apple doesn't fall far from the tree version of his dad, but he still gets the girl in the end, and I thought it was sweet.
Absolutely. I've got 3 relatively small kind of final notes on this. Number 1, Mandy says she charges $2.50 an hour unless it's really gross. Yeah. That's $5.
Unless she has to do something.
Right, yes.
Like
that's $5.70 in today's dollars. 77 cents, $5.77. You could not get a babysitter of any quality for $5.77 these days.
I know that, and I don't even have kids.
Right. Like, you're not going to get a high school age babysitter for less than at least 15, but it's probably even higher than that. I don't know. I've never tried to get a high school age babysitter for my kids, but people can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I don't feel like you could get somebody for less than $15 an hour. So that seems low, but hey, good for them.
100%.
In a similar vein, I did a lot of the calculations to see what some of those things at the casinos and whatnot cost, but that casino jackpot of $132,000 is a little over $300,000 today. Not bad.
That's not bad.
And I think the thing I was the most impressed with was that they had 75-cent Coronas, which is only $1.73 today. And where can you go and find a beer for $100? I liked that 3 times in the movie, people that see Adam faint. You've got Diane, you've got Mandy, whose eyes go delightfully crossed when she faints. I can't cross my eyes, so.
Really?
I can't do it. But I always take note then when people do because it weirds me out. But the most important one of the fainters is the magician, because she falls into the pool when she faints.
You can see her wince.
Everyone else runs away, so she's dead, right? Like, she falls into the pool and she faints, and everybody else else leaves.
I mean,
Like,
presumably though, like the shock of falling into the water wakes her back up.
Maybe. Yeah. And then the last thing I had was, just because I always think this kind of thing is fun, Wayne says, hey, Nikki, you want to go see a movie? I was like, oh, what movies could they have gone to see? So I checked it out.
Yeah.
And they could have seen, and then I want you to weigh in on what you think they would have gone to see. I didn't pick everything. I just picked 7 options for what they could have seen. The League of Their Own, Boomerang, Universal Soldier, Sister Act, Batman Returns, Alien 3, and Cool World.
Oh, it was either Batman or Alien
options
3.
that were out. So I feel like Batman.
If Nick picked,
probably
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
But I
Wayne
also
picked,
don't
it was A League of Their Own.
Yeah, I don't think Wayne would have ever picked Alien 3. So I was like, that one I think would be tough. Like, they don't seem like horror movie guys. So I think there's a part of me that thinks they might have gone to see Cool World, since it was like just that kind of weird animated thing, and just the guys. And so I could see them doing that. But yeah, Sister Act is great. A League of Their Own is great. So, knowing that now, it'd be tough to choose if you had to pick just one of those. But I feel like Batman Returns is probably the answer.
Yeah, totally. They went to go. They would have gone to see that.
That's what I've got. I really enjoyed watching this, and I felt
I
like
did too.
it was fun and it held up.
What was your rating? How many fins?
So I gave this 3.5 fins. I'm probably, because we're so at the beginning of this, I think I might be a little more conservative with my ratings than I probably will be later. We'll have to see how that fleshes out. But I gave it 3.5 fins.
I'm very generous. I don't care. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I gave it 8 out of 10 tentacles. But it was just one of those things that, like, it wasn't a heavy movie. There wasn't like bullshit drama, and there was no like teen angsty attitude. It was campy and fun and lighthearted. Like, I don't know. I said I would watch it again. I don't know that I would like seek it out to watch again unless I wanted something like fun and mindless. It did make me want to watch Honey, I Shrunk the Kids again and Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, which I don't remember at all. But it was also apparently straight to video, which is probably why I don't remember it.
All right. So I guess now it's time to pick our next movie.
Yes.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and get this roll underway. Page 3. Do you want to do the D8 or do you want me to just keep going?
I can do it. 6.
Then where we do 10. The percent one. Yep. 4. Bridget Jones's Diary.
Bridget Jones's Diary. Excellent. I don't know if I've ever seen this movie.
I can tell you definitively I have not.
I'm pretty sure I never did.
Next to nothing about it.
Renee Zellweger's in it.
That is about the thing I know about it.
Me too.
Great. Well, this will be good. We'll come into this one on equal footing.
It's from 2001. It's another older movie. She is apparently 32 years old in the movie. And I know it is based on a book.
All right. I'm assuming my kids will not join in on this one.
Oh, we need to roll for what we are paying attention to.
All right. Why don't you go ahead and go first?
Oh, this is going to be interesting. A 2. Color theory.
All right. And for me, got a 5. Cinematography.
Ooh. Oh, that'll be fun.
We'll see what's in this one.
I promise not to write a dissertation on color theory in Bridget Jones's Diary.
You don't
or
know
maybe
that.
I will. Who knows?
Happens. We've never seen it, for all you know.
Yeah, no, I have no clue.
And on that note, I'm going to go refresh myself on the definition of cinematography.
Yeah, no, neither of us have seen Bridget Jones's Diary. So we're going in cold. I feel like it's like one of the ultimate chick flick movies.
All right, by me.
Alrighty.
I will say it's not my number one choice for Renee Zellweger movies because I haven't seen it, but who knows?
Okay, Bridget Jones's Diary. See you in 2 weeks.
See you then.
Until next time, thanks for rolling with us. As always, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on socials at CinemaRollPod. Check out our website, cinemaroll.com, and leave us a review. Cinema Roll is produced by Jacob Balson and RJ Hay and edited by RJ Hay. Music is sourced from Pixabay and mixed by RJ Hay.
Hey, Squid, you're being recorded. Oh no, it says you're being included. How sweet.
Like mustard on s'mores Pop-Tarts? I have tea in a soup cup and water.
And soup in a teacup?
No, it's tea in a soup cup.
Nice work, Mom.